Welcome to the deep dive. You know that feeling, don't you? That particular thrill of walking into a new restaurant, maybe like a bustling new city, or even just your favorite local spot. The air's alive with chatter, the clinking of glasses, that amazing smell of food, and, the promise of something delicious. You grab the menu, your eyes are darting around, new dishes, old favorites. It's just one of life's simple, universal joys, right? That moment of anticipation. But okay, let's throw a little curveball in there. Imagine you're somewhere English is the main language, and maybe you're English speaking. Well, if it feels a little shaky, suddenly that nice anticipation, it can feel, well, kind of daunting. That simple thing, ordering a sandwich or just a cup of tea. It suddenly feels like this high-stakes performance. Will they get me? Am I being polite enough? What if I say something totally weird? It's a real hurdle, causes a lot of anxiety for learners. And that is exactly why we're doing this deep dive today. Our mission is to take this really great lesson script. It's called Restaurant English. Ordering and polite phrases designed specifically to help English learners in these exact situations. And we want to pull out the most important bits. We're not just going to give you a list of phrases to memorize. No way. We're going deeper. We're going to unpack the why certain phrases are polite, the sort of cultural codes hidden in simple words, and really help you build that confidence, not just to order, but to actually engage when you're out. Our goal, give you a shortcut, basically, so you feel informed and, more importantly, genuinely confident next time you're in a restaurant, wherever that might be. So let's dig in, starting right at the beginning of the whole dining thing.
It's so relatable, isn't it? That initial apprehension when you're about to use your new language skills out in public. Our source material, this lesson script, it starts with a student actually saying they feel a bit nervous, even a little shy about speaking English. And that moment of vulnerability, everyone gets that. It perfectly captures the mental and emotional load learners feel, moving from the classroom safety net to the real world, where you might worry about judgment or just getting it wrong. It can be paralyzing.
Yeah, I thought that detail about the students' nerves was so spot on. And what really struck me was the teacher's response. Right away. It wasn't just like, oh, fine. It was specific, reassuring. Don't worry. No need to be nervous. I'll help you every step of the way.
Yeah.
From your perspective, what's the psychological power behind that kind of specific reassurance? Why is it so important in learning?
Oh, that specific wording is absolutely key. It sets up this psychological safety net almost immediately. When a learner hears, don't worry, and crucially, I'll help you every step of the way, it just changes their whole mindset. Instead of thinking out of fear of mistakes, fear of embarrassment, they can actually approach it feeling secure, supported. This actually lowers the cognitive load. Their brain can focus more on finding words and making sentences instead of being swamped by anxiety about, messing up socially. Think of it like a tightrope walker. If they know there's a net below, they can focus on walking, not falling. So that kind of upfront comfort from a guide or a well-designed lesson, it really changes a scary task into something manageable, something guided.
That makes total sense. And you can almost feel it in the script, right? The student takes a deep breath before speaking. That tiny detail really shows how much mental prep goes into just saying something when you're not feeling confident. It's not just having the words. It's finding the courage to actually say them. And it shows how having the right phrases ready, plus that initial reassurance, can genuinely ease that tension.
Yeah.
For you, listening, just knowing that feeling nervous is completely normal, that's a huge first step. This deep dive, in a way, wants to be that reassuring guide for you, giving you the tools so you can take that breath and speak up.
Exactly. This moment right at the start of the lesson shows that good language learning isn't just about grammar or vocab lists. It's really affected by the emotional support provided. This lesson models a great supportive interaction. The student isn't just taught what to say, but crucially, how to feel okay saying it. That whole approach, I think, is absolutely essential for real, lasting language learning.
Okay, so we've kind of dealt with the initial nerves. Now we get to the absolute cornerstone of ordering politely in English. This is where we find a phrase that seems simple but actually carries a lot of social weight. The student, after that deep breath, starts their order. Yes, I'd like a sandwich, please. And the teacher immediately praises it, right? Explains that I'd like is the polite way to say I want when ordering, and stresses how vital adding please is. Then the student nails it again. Yes, I'd like a cup of tea, please. Perfect structure.
Yeah, what's really interesting about I'd like is its subtle but pretty profound power in English-speaking cultures. It's not just grammar. It's a deeply ingrained social thing. Think about I want. Grammatically fine, sure, but in a service situation, it can sound quite demanding, almost like you're ordering someone around. It has this feeling of like immediate command, I'd like, though, softens it a lot. It expresses a desire or a preference, not a direct demand. It subtly shows respect for the server, hints at a bit of deference. You're kind of saying, if it's okay and not too much trouble, I'd appreciate having X. It frames it as something welcome, not something owed.
And just to clarify, I'd is short for I would, so I would like. The politeness comes from that slightly more indirect conditional phrasing. It introduces a hypothetical feel, making it less absolute, more considerate. Think about it. I want a coffee versus I'd like a coffee, please.
Yeah.
The second one just feels gentler, right? More inviting, more cooperative. It's really a masterclass in tone.
It really is.
Yeah.
And the great thing about this structure is how versatile it is. It goes way beyond just restaurants. If you broaden the view, I'd like, is an incredibly useful template for politeness in tons of situations. Like instead of, I want to ask a question in a meeting, imagine saying, I'd like to ask a question. The tone shifts completely. Or instead of a blunt, I want more information, try, I'd like to know more about this. Even shopping, instead of, I want a bigger size, maybe I'd like to try a different size, please. Every time, it just makes your communication sound more polite, more professional, more thoughtful. It's a fundamental piece of polite English that helps things go smoothly almost anywhere.
It really is like a linguistic superpower, isn't it? And surprisingly easy to use once you get the hang of its subtle power. For our listeners, a common issue for learners is sometimes translating too directly. Maybe in your first language, I want is perfectly polite. But in English, that directness, especially without please, can accidentally sound abrupt, even rude. So let's just reinforce this. Remember those examples? I'd like a sandwich, please, and I'd like a cup of tea, please. Seriously, take a moment right now. Maybe pause us. Practice saying those phrases, even quietly. Get used to them. Feel how they flow. It makes such a difference. Okay, so you've politely asked for what you want. What's the next step? How do you signal you're done ordering?
Right. Once the order is clear, you need an equally polite and efficient way to say, that's it.
Mm-hmm.
The source material handles this nicely. The waiter asks, anything else? And the student's reply is short, courteous. That's all. Thank you. The teacher then explains, that's all means I don't want more. Seems small, but it's very effective.
It really is, isn't it? It clearly says, I'm finished, without being unclear, or worse, sounding abrupt, or like you're dismissing them. Think about the alternatives, like a long, awkward pause while you try to think, or maybe just, no, nothing else. Which isn't rude, exactly, but it doesn't have the grace of, that's all. And adding thank you is crucial. It keeps that polite tone going that you started with, I'd like. It's like a polite little full stop on your order. Done with thanks.
And think about it from the server's point of view. A clear, polite signal like, that's all, thank you, is super helpful. It stops them guessing if you're still thinking, need more time, or just trailed off. This clarity makes the whole interaction smoother, helps them manage their work better, and just leads to a better service experience for everyone. It shows how language isn't just about information, it's also about making social interactions work well, respectfully.
And for you, listening, getting this little phrase down can stop those awkward silences or unnecessary back and forth that happen with unclear communication. It makes the whole ordering thing feel much more professional, more controlled, leaves you feeling more confident, like you're handling it well. So you politely ordered, clearly said you're done. Now, the best part? The food arrives. How do we talk about that?
Yes, the next stage. Engaging with the meal and, importantly, being able to say you like it. Our source material shows this really well when the teacher asks, so how's your sandwich? How's it taste? And the student replies enthusiastically, it's delicious. I really like it. Then the teacher clarifies, delicious means very tasty. Your sandwich tastes very good.
We often just say good, right? And good is fine. But here's where it gets interesting. Using a specific expressive word like delicious is such a step up from just it's good.
Yeah.
Good is kind of factual. But delicious, that conveys real pleasure, a richer description, a deeper appreciation. It's the difference between just stating a fact, it's good, and expressing an emotion, real delight, sensory pleasure. It's almost like saying, wow, this really hits the spot. I appreciate the effort here.
And that's exactly where the social and psychological impact comes in. When you use a word like delicious, you're not just giving feedback on the food, you're actually making the whole dining experience richer socially. Saying it's delicious can start a better conversation with whoever you're eating with, or even the waiter. It might lead to sharing recommendations, talking about ingredients, or just a quick, positive chat about the food. It takes it from a basic transaction to something more personal, more appreciative. Think about emojis, right? Saying it's delicious is basically the verbal version of that yummy face emoji. It shows a strong, positive feeling.
Totally.
Yeah.
It's about adding color and depth to your language. Shows you're not just understanding, but really engaging with the whole experience. And while delicious is great, there's a whole range of positive food words in English, right? You could say something savory if it's rich and flavorful, maybe tangy if it has that sharp, zesty kick, rich for something deep, indulgent, exquisite, or delightful for maybe a more refined pleasure. Knowing these gives you more precision. But it's also important to remember not every comment has to be like a massive declaration of love for the food. Sometimes it's about simple comforts.
Absolutely. The source has a wonderful, subtle example of this. The teacher just casually says about their tea, "It's nice and hot, just the way I like it."
Hmm?
This might seem like a minor detail, but it's actually really important. It shows that natural conversation isn't always about big statements or huge enthusiasm. Sometimes, just expressing simple, personal satisfaction is perfectly fine, enough. It shows a comfortable, natural conversational flow, acknowledging personal preferences without making a big deal. It shows you're present, comfortable enough to share a little observation.
That's a really great point. It reminds us language isn't just for formal stuff or big moments. It's just as important for those quiet, everyday moments of contentment. Simple acknowledgments. For you, listening, it's a reminder that real, natural English includes expressing these simple satisfactions. It makes your interactions feel more human, more relatable, tells people you're comfortable, confident enough to share something small and pleasant. Maybe you just sat in a comfy chair and said, this is nice, just what I needed. Or maybe the sun comes out after a bad day and you say, the sun feels good, that's better. These little things, they're the fabric of natural chat. So, okay, you've enjoyed the meal, said it was delicious or just nice and hot. What's the next natural step? Time to sort out the bill.
Right after eating, the shift to asking for the bill should be smooth, polite, not abrupt. Our source gives a really common, natural phrase for showing you've had enough. "I'm full now. I have eaten enough."
Yeah.
The teacher agrees, adds, "Me too. It
Yeah.
was a good meal. Now we need to pay the bill."
Yeah, that phrase, I'm full now, it's more than just saying your stomach's full, isn't it? It's a social cue. Widely understood. It politely says you finished eating, and crucially, it's a really natural way to lead into asking for the bill. It signals to your friends and subtly to the staff that you're ready to wrap up the meal and move on. It's key communication that avoids that awkward jump from just eating to suddenly demanding the bill. It's a graceful transition.
Exactly. These phrases act as important social markers. "I'm full now" signals you're ready to transition. It politely closes the eating part of the experience. It stops those awkward silences, or wondering when it's okay to ask for the bill. Which raises a point for you, the listener. How do you signal you're ready to leave other social situations gracefully? A lot of the same ideas apply. Polite phrasing, subtle cues. Like at a party you might say, "Well, it's been lovely, but I'm starting to feel pretty tired." That's a polite signal you're getting ready to leave.
That's a great parallel. Okay, so you've indicated you're done eating. Now, how do you get the waiter's attention and politely ask for that bill? The teacher in our source material explains. You can call the waiter and say, "Excuse me, could we have the bill, please?" And the student tries it right away, waving to get the waiter's attention and then saying the phrase.
This whole request is really a masterclass in polite interaction. Let's break it down because each bit matters. First, excuse me, absolutely vital. It's more than just polite for restaurants. It's your go-to phrase in almost any public place where you need to politely interrupt or get noticed. Trying to squeeze past someone, need to jump into a chat, need to get a busy staff member's attention. "Excuse me" is your opener. It shows respect for their space and time before you even ask, like a gentle verbal tap on the shoulder.
Yeah, I always think of, excuse me, as the polite version of clearing your throat before speaking, but nicer. Then, could we have the bill? Classic polite question form. Much softer, much less direct than, say, give me the bill. That sounds like an order. Using could implies asking about possibility or permission. Makes it really polite, deferential. And it's interesting about using we, even if you're alone. Could I have the bill is fine, obviously, but could we have the bill often sounds a tiny bit softer, kind of generalizes the request for the table, even if it's just you. Feels less like a direct command somehow.
And then, naturally, the ever-present "please" at the end, the final touch, reinforces politeness, ties it all together nicely. What's also crucial here, and easy to miss, is combining the nonverbal and verbal. The source says the student waves to get the waiter's attention. You got to picture this. It's usually a gentle, subtle hand raise, maybe eye contact, not frantic waving or snapping fingers. That subtle nonverbal cue signals you need something before the words confirm it. Makes the whole thing smooth, efficient for everyone. It's about signaling you're ready without being disruptive.
So you've got the polite little wave, clear eye contact, excuse me, and then the perfectly phrased, could we have the bill, please? That's all package. Smooth interaction guaranteed. And this really shows how these phrases transfer, right? Excuse me, and could we have are templates you can use for loads of other polite requests, like, excuse me, could you tell me the time? Or, excuse me, could I just get past? Or even, excuse me, could we talk about this later? Master them in a restaurant, and you've unlocked polite, effective ways to interact in many other situations. But hang on, we've been saying bill. The source brings up another word.
Ah, yes, this brings us to a really key cultural nuance, classic aha moment for many learners, and a common confusion point. The student, quite sharp, asks for clarification. The waiter said he'll bring the bill. That means the check, right?
Yeah.
And the teacher confirms it straight up. Yes, the bill is the paper that shows how much money we have to pay. In American English, people often say the check instead of the bill. The student then locks it in. Got it. The bill is the check.
This is such an important difference, and it perfectly shows how regional language variations can subtly affect everyday stuff. While both bill and check are generally understood everywhere English is spoken, knowing the common word for where you are, say, the UK versus the US makes a real difference in sounding natural, fluent. In British English, it's almost always bill for restaurants. Check is definitely the main term in American English. It's a small detail, but it instantly shows, the local way of saying things. It's like, lorry versus truck, queue versus line, pavement versus sidewalk. Those little differences are just part of the richness of English.
What's really interesting here is that the meaning is the same, but your word choice can subtly signal how familiar you are with a specific dialect or region. It's these kinds of details that take a learner from just basic understanding to real fluency and being adaptable. So for you listening, this means you're now ready to understand and use both terms. You can adapt whether you're in London, New York, Sydney, wherever. It really highlights how tiny language differences can make a big impact on feeling genuinely fluent and comfortable in different places. Helps you blend in more easily.
It's all about having the right word for the right place, isn't it? Making sure you're understood and feel confident. So you've nailed ordering, saying you enjoy it, gracefully asking for the bill or the check. You've paid. Done. But the lesson isn't quite finished yet. The real work and the real fun maybe starts with practice.
Exactly. Our source material really emphasizes how crucial consistent practice and repetition are for language learning. The teacher leads a review, gets the student actively involved by having them repeat key phrases. I'd like a sandwich, please. Can we have the bill, please? Oh, it's delicious. This active repetition is immediately followed by a Q&A about the conversation they just practiced. And the student's reaction, these phrases are much clearer to me now. That's really telling. It shows a real shift from just passive understanding to active usable knowledge.
What's really clever here is the teaching reason behind that structured repetition and recall. It's not just memorizing by rote, it's about building what experts call language muscle memory. When you repeat these phrases out loud, especially in context, you're training your mouth, your voice, your brain to produce them easily, almost automatically. It's like a musician practicing scales or a dancer rehearsing steps until they're just fluid, natural, graceful. And the Q&A isn't just a memory test, it forces you to pull out and use the knowledge, moving it from passive understanding in your short-term memory to active use. That cements it in your long-term memory.
Precisely. That active recall strengthens the brain pathways for those phrases, makes them easier to grab and use next time. Those PAUSE moments mentioned in the original lesson script, they're put there on purpose for listener engagement. To copy a real learning situation is basically an invitation for you, the listener, to get involved directly. Don't just passively listen. Actively take part in learning. This structured practice is a direct route to building confidence and fluency. It stops you getting overwhelmed by solidifying small, key bits of knowledge in your long-term memory. It's about depth, not just covering lots of ground superficially.
You're absolutely right. It's about making those phrases really yours, embedding them so deep they just feel natural to say. And this leads straight into applying this knowledge in your own language journey. The lesson ends with the teacher praising the student. You did a wonderful job today. You learned how to order food in English and use polite phrases. And the student, feeling that shift, expresses feeling much more confident.
What's really powerful is seeing that direct link between the student's new confidence and the practical, repeatable nature of the lesson. It strongly backs up the idea that fluency isn't just knowing words, it's about using them naturally in speech through consistent, focused practice. The teacher's final advice is maybe the most important takeaway. Remember to practice these phrases often. The more you practice, the easier English speaking will become. That's not just encouragement, it's a fundamental truth about learning languages.
And they even suggest specific, concrete ways to practice. Shadowing, copying the speaker, or repeating the dialogue. Shadowing, especially, is an amazing technique. It's not just repeating words, it's copying the intonation, the rhythm, the speed, the pauses of a native speaker. This helps your speech sound way more natural, less hesitant, definitely less robotic, makes you sound genuinely confident and fluent. It helps you pick up the music of the language, not just the individual notes.
And if you connect this to the bigger picture, getting good at simple, common interactions like these builds a really strong foundation for handling much harder conversations later. Think of it like building scaffolding for your language skills. You start with a strong base of polite ordering phrases. Then you can confidently add layers on top more complex vocabulary, tricky grammar, subtle conversation topics. Each polite phrase you master is like a solid plank in that structure, giving you stability as you climb higher in your English ability. This section gives really valuable practical advice. It empowers you, our listener, to take what we've talked about in this deep dive and actually use it in your own learning. It's the ultimate so what for the learner. Here's the knowledge, here's how to apply it, here's how to get confident.
And that, everyone, brings us towards the end of our deep dive into restaurant English, ordering and polite phrases. We've actually covered quite a bit today, haven't we? From, recognizing and getting past those initial nerves that so many learners feel, to mastering the subtle but really effective power of "I'd like" and signaling you're done with clear phrases like "that's all, thank you."
We really did unpack it, explore the impact of descriptive words like delicious, and the simple comfort of saying something's nice and hot. We navigated the polite exit, learning how to ask for the bill with, "Excuse me, could we have the bill, please?" And maybe really crucial for travelers, understanding that important little difference between bill and check.
And maybe most importantly, we reinforced just how vital consistent, focused practice is, whether that's active repetition, doing Q&As, or that really effective shadowing technique.